Hello everybody, it's Margaret here with 60 and Me. Thanks for being here today. I hope that you're doing great wherever you are and that all is well in your world as we go into this new year. I wanted to talk to you today about something that I've definitely put on my list of priorities for the new year. Not a resolution, but just something I'm going to prioritize, and that is reading more. I love books. My little grandson Max is now almost weighs 4 in April, and he's reading really well, and I read to him a lot, and I realized how much of a passion it was all of my life. And I worked in a bookstore for 10 years. I was actually, when I was in Colorado at school, at university. Anyway, I love books. And so I wanted to just chat about books and what you're taking into the new year, what kind of topics are of interest to you, what your favorites are, what people are reading as they, just try to reset. And I don't know how you're doing as you watch this video, but it's going to be probably another challenging year. But the reason I was inspired to do this video was an article one of our bloggers, Pam Lamp, wrote about 4 memoirs that you could give to people over the holidays, or that you could read yourself. And they're stories of, most of the ones she chose are stories of hardship and how people overcame their situation. And I just thought that type of a story is pretty, difficult, inspirational at the moment, even though it's difficult to read sometimes, because we are all going through our own mini dramas, our own mini challenges. And I know that I could sit here for forever just talking about the stories that people have shared with me in 60 and Me, and just how beautiful the strength and the resilience and tenacity has been. I've just been so amazed, and especially in our Patreon supporters group, where we meet every other day and we talk about just life in lockdown. And I know as I'm recording this, it's still the case all over the world. It doesn't matter sort of where you are. Smallest island, the largest continent is affected. It's just astounding. Anyway, this year has been a learning experience for all of us, and maybe we can look to some of these memoirs by people who, in their own way, dealt with something that was to them obviously as difficult and challenging as the pandemic is today, and maybe get some tips on how they got over it, how they got through it. And all the ones she chose, I've never read any of them, and this is what kind of inspired me to think, there's some really good books here. Why am I not reading some of these? And I wanted just to share with you the ones that she gave us as some examples. Now, the first one was I Miss You When I Blink by Mary Laura Philpott. And this book, I looked at it on Goodreads, and apparently it's got all kinds of really positive reviews. It's just really powerful. And it's just all about how this woman just, she went through her life and decided that, children, marriage, career, that was like the most important thing in her life. And then it was like, what? It is? And how she then turned around, how she gave up her passion for perfectionism and forgave herself for some of the mistakes she'd made, and just really started over with that kind of feeling of openness and exposure, and getting through it and surviving. And that it was okay. I mean, the theme of that book apparently is that it's okay to embrace an imperfect life. Gosh, and if there has actually been a year where that has been the case, I just don't know that there's one that we can point to, in my life anyway, that we haven't had such a challenging opportunity. And I think that on balance, I've learned and grown more in a positive way than in a negative way. But wow, that's been overcoming. So the next one that she talks about is Hillbilly, Elegy by J.D. Vance. Elegy, that doesn't look like the right word. But anyway, it's by this woman called J.D. Vance. And she says, as a child, this person lived in Middletown, Ohio. It's a story about divorce and abuse and, just harm and just a really challenging childhood that this person went through. And how through all of that, she managed to break through and find a spiritual base and find a meaning in her life that allowed her to reemerge a new person. And I think this book also talks a lot about the wealth divide, not just in the United States, but all around the world, and how that having that poverty mindset really is the beginning to a lot of challenges that young people face, that you just are always wanting something that's outside of your reach. And this book, apparently, Hillbilly Elegy, is about that. And it's a story it's based in the United States, but it really applies worldwide. So that's one that is recommended. Pam says that this is one of her favorites. And she joined the army, apparently, this person, and that may help her get through some of this. But it's all the techniques that people used. These are what memoirs do, don't they? They just kind of pull together a story about who you are and then try to explain it. And I think that's why I think that Pam found these were very useful books, because they're not just fiction. They're real people. And the next one is a similar story, apparently. It's Educated by Tara Westover. And her story is quite fascinating, because she was raised in a family where her dad didn't believe in education, didn't believe in hospitals or doctors. And she was raised in Idaho. Youngest of 7 children, you can imagine the scenario that she was raised in. And I think she then took it upon herself to get educated. And I think this is the book which is like really demonstrating the power of education, reading, to transform your life. It's really all about that. And I'm looking at my notes here. I think it's an award-winning book, this one, Educated by Tara Westover. And it's also been recommended by Bill Gates and Bill Clinton, it was Barack Obama. But in any case, lots of people, and they're just the famous names. There's probably lots and lots of people who were inspired by her. Her push, towards getting an education and making that then the ground, the framework for her life. That's Educated by Tara Westover. The next one that she talks about is The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. I feel so embarrassed. I don't even know these stories. And that's another memoir, I think 2005. So it's quite a more, it goes back a little bit in the past. But it's about how, the story of can you forgive someone that's hurt you, that's abused you, that's made you suffer. I mean, and the other one is more about how she used education to break through. But this is more about how you find it in yourself to forgive. And I know from stories that we've written in the past and comments that I've read from our 60andMe sisters, this is a big one. Not only forgiving yourself, but forgiving others, even your own family, your own children, relatives. How do you move forward? And how do you forgive people who do that? And it's in her sense, again, where negativity was this kind of catalyst for growth and self-realization. So those are 4 memoirs, and she actually listed a whole bunch of other ones, and I've got a couple that I want to share with you. And I want to ask you too, what books, either memoirs or biographies or autobiographies, or even, no, not fiction. Let's stick with, it doesn't matter. If you've got a great fiction, that's okay too. But because we're talking about books in general. But the ones that are autobiographical and personal are the more powerful ones in terms of transformation, although I can think of a few. But her titles that she suggests as options are I Am Malala Yousafzai, When Breath Becomes Air, Paul Kalanithi. Yes, please. Amy Poehler, Eat, Pray, Love. That's a classic, maybe a little superficial for some, but I can relate. That's Elizabeth Gilbert. The Glass Castle. Oh, we talked about that one. Running with Scissors. Augustine Burroughs, Tuesday with Morrie. That's a really powerful book. I did read that one. I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings. I also read that, Maya Angelou. And I haven't read this one, but I Feel Bad About My Neck. It's Nora Ephron. And that's supposed to be really, really funny about aging and dealing with physical changes that your body goes through. I Feel Bad About My Neck. And then finally, The Year of Magical Thinking by Joan Didion. And this is her story that she wrote after her husband died. I think he had been sick for some time, and it was just a very long, drawn-up process that really shattered her. And that story, if you're dealing with loss or grieving, that one might be a good one too, if you are ready to read it. I mean, these can be heavy, but I think that's just a little sample. For me, I've got, let's see. I read Gentleman in Moscow, which wasn't a biography or a memoir, but it could have been. It felt like it. And that was, for me, my book of the year for 2020. And the other book of the year for the lockdown and the pandemic was a book called A Journey Around My Room. And I, for the life of me, cannot remember the author, but it's someone who, during the Spanish War, like it was in the early 1900s, he was put under house arrest in his room. Like he had a single studio room, like me. And it's a really fun story about him saying how you make the best of your space, right? So he says, allow me to introduce you to my sofa. My sofa is where, people have sat and who have these conversations and these realizations and this, motion. And then let's move around and talk about my curtains, and where I bought these curtains when I was visiting in Casablanca or on a Bedouin farm or whatever. It's just like that. And it's a long book. It's like a couple of 100 pages, and it goes all around his room. And that's the story, the journey around my room, which just seems so appropriate during the lockdown. I don't know why I'm laughing. It's not funny, but it's just what people that have only had their room or small house to live in and be in, how we've made do. I think it's a good story. So if you've got one that you'd like to share, I'd love to add it to our list. So basically, did you give a book for Christmas? Did you receive a book for Christmas? What is your favorite book, memoir, biography, autobiography? And then if you want to just tell us what you're reading, that's okay too. But do have a lovely day, everybody. Take really good care. Hope that you're doing well. Stay strong and safe, and come join us on 60andMe channels. And please, if you've enjoyed this video and you want to read more and hear more, just press the subscribe button. You know where that is. Press it, please. And then also just go and press the notification bell, because that will then tell you when new videos are published. And I publish every about 4 times a week on YouTube here. So take care of yourselves, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll talk again very soon. Bye-bye for now.